want you to hear from people like yourself who were locked in dialysis chair for 3 to 4 hours per day, 3 times a week because of transplantation. They can now live a normal life with their new kidney. So let's hear their stories.
My first kidney, I had hypertension, and I had to go on dialysis for 1.5 years. And I received the first kidney in 2000. It lasted for 16 years. And I had to go on PD, so I went on PD, and then that lasted for 1 year. I was on PD for 1 year, and after the year, I had to went back in home center dialysis, and I was on home center dialysis about 1.5 years also, and I received the second kidney transplant. Evaluation started, it's about 3 months, and after that, I got on the list, and within 2 weeks of the list, I received the kidney transplant. I received the kidney transplant on June the 7th of this year. And the kidney is working real good. I mean, I'm glad I have it because I can go back to work now, because when I first had the first kidney transplant, I went back to work and it did good. It lasted for 16 years. And the people, I mean, the nurses, the doctors and stuff, they was wonderful. And they showed me, they showed me a lot of stuff, which I knew a lot of stuff from 2000, but the things I learned then is better. And dialysis, it was okay. I mean, because I continue living from it, it helped me. But after the transplant now, I can enjoy doing things with my family. We have grandkids. I can enjoy taking care of my grandkids, doing things with them. And I mean, going places now without worrying about being on dialysis. The diet on dialysis, it was okay, but it was kind of hard to follow because you have to keep up with your phosphorus and calcium and all the things like that. But now, after you have the kidney transplant, you can eat whatever you want to eat, but you're still on a little restriction, but things that we couldn't eat before, we can do now. And the fluid restriction, we couldn't drink much, but you can drink what you want now. But it's wonderful because, I mean, it's like you go overboard when you start drinking and eating, but you have to control it, but it's good. And like going on trips, you go on trips with your family and stuff, go different places. The medications, it's not bad at all. I mean, you have to take it for the rejection and stuff, but down the line, they'll start, weaning you off certain ones and you won't be on, but I won't say too much, but it's enough, but it's easy. It's not hard to take the medicine. And you have to take it for the kidney to prolong, to survive. You have to take it, because if you don't take it, the kidney will fail. But it's not hard to take it.
I moved down here in April 2016, and almost right away, I was having trouble keeping what I ate down. And it wasn't getting any better. And that went on for almost 4 weeks. And my daughter-in-law said, "You need to go to after hours and get checked out." And my son, he kind of pushed it too. So I did, and I went to after hours. Then they ran some more tests and x-rays, and the doctor came in and said, "We need to keep the catheter in, and you're gonna go home with it." So in the meantime, a nephrologist, which kidney doctor, came in. He said, "You're probably going to have to do dialysis." And he said, "I think you're a perfect candidate to do peritoneal dialysis." I did it for 1 year, and in between I got peritonitis because I wasn't bleaching my shower head as often as I was supposed to. So then I had to switch to hemodialysis, and I did 10, 11 weeks of that. Didn't like it because every time I cramped up, I could feel the cramping start in my toes, and pretty soon it's going up, my calves tighten up, and my blood pressure would drop. And there was a couple times I was pretty close to passing out, but I picked up the sign is when I started seeing like stars and more lights than there was in the place. Then I knew my blood pressure was dropping. So they shut the machine off and let me recover, and then they'd finish it up. But I did that for 10 or 11 weeks, and I didn't like it. I mean, it was only 3 times a week, but I still didn't like it. I started the evaluation in January before I got the peritonitis, and started doing all the tests, colonoscopy, all the blood work, everything. And then I went back to doing peritoneal. And then in August, it was, I don't know, it was towards the end of August, like the 22nd, 23rd, they called and said, you're number 3 on the list for a kidney. We've got 2 kidneys, but we can't get a hold of whoever's second. We left messages, they haven't called back. So do you want it? And I said, oh yeah, anything to get done with the dialysis. But I was only in the hospital. That was Saturday night. Wednesday, they discharged me. I went back to my house because my daughter had come from Chicago and she's a nurse. So she stayed with me for about a week. And then she went back to Chicago. My son came over and picked me up, and I stayed with him and his family for 6 weeks. And then I went back home, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's been great with the new kidney. Oh, one big change was taking the meds. Because I'm on 3 anti-rejection meds, on prednisone and then 2 other meds that I'll be on the rest of my life. Other than staying in the hospital, and it was great. I didn't have any issues there because the nurses were always great. The doctors were in answering any questions you had, that I had or my son or daughter had, because they were there. And it's been a good process, and at least for me, I didn't have, and they were surprised I didn't have any issues with it. And the kidney's been working, so everything's good.
I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease probably in my 30s. I'm now 61. It was monitored fairly closely over the years by Dr. Sean Murphy, who is actually a doctor who was trained here at MUSC and was a nephrologist up at where I lived up in Pawleys Island. Once my kidney function started to decline, then it became apparent that I was either going to be on dialysis or a transplant for the rest of my life. And so Dr. Murphy referred me down here to MUSC to the transplant center, where I met with Dr. Baliga. I needed to have my kidneys removed, and then later on that I would, after some period of dialysis, I would then be on a transplant list. And for anybody that is on dialysis, you understand the limitations that it puts upon your lifestyle. For me, of course, before all this happened, I was a practicing attorney. I'm a lawyer with Harrison Graves. I like to fish, I like to hike, I have a cabin up in the mountains, and I was a bit of a foodie where I enjoyed cooking and we enjoyed going out to restaurants. And of course, once I got on dialysis, pretty much all of that ended. I couldn't really go outside. I was always tired. I was usually not feeling well, even on either form of dialysis. And in truth, hemodialysis was difficult for me. PD was easier, but it became basically a full-time job. As a practical matter, the choice between the temporary pain of a surgery and the loss of every part of the life that I enjoyed beforehand, it was not a difficult decision for me. I was happy to undergo the pain of the risk of the surgical procedure in order to get my life back. I'm now able to travel. I'm not limited to having to get dialysis someplace, wherever I go anywhere. I still make lasagna and spaghetti, and I can eat again, and I don't have to take phosphate binders, which, as anybody on dialysis knows, are not the most pleasant thing to have to deal with. I've been back hiking. I'm now married to my wife, and I will say that she's my donor, she's my wife, and every day of my life I owe to my wife right now, because this is a fresh start. It's like a new beginning for my life because of the transplant center here at MUSC and the generosity of my wife, who donated a kidney for me. We actually recuperated together, which was kind of interesting. And, she made a good recovery. There was really no complications for her. She lives a very normal life as a transplant donor. And so the few limitations that we have now are minuscule in comparison to the limitations of my life before I had this transplant. The evaluation process, they ran me through a lot of tests, of course, and also my wife as well. It was just basically lab work and some MRIs and CT scans and that type of thing. It was not difficult. It was an easy thing to get through. You just had to kind of persevere. I mean, I may have had to come back 3 or 4 or 5 times, but and my wife did as well. She had to be tested, and but the process for being worked up for the transplant really was not that big a deal. It was just a matter of a few needles and an image or 2. We also had some insurance issues and had a health insurance company that would refuse to pay for my wife's surgery to be the donor. Whereas Medicare would, and so with the cooperation of MUSC's staff, we were able to get all that sorted out to where by the end of the time that I was on dialysis, Medicare had kicked in, and then the surgery was paid for by my health insurance and my Medicare as a combination of the 2. There could not have gotten better care than what I got at MUSC. Dr. Baliga, who is the head of the transplant team, did my surgeries. Dr. Nadig did my wife's surgery to do the transplant. And the nurses and the staff here were so kind and so understanding that, it was just, they made it as painless as it could be. Having such a restricted diet during dialysis just goes away once you have a transplant, and is such a relief. Fried foods are back on the table, which is, of course, being in the South is a good thing, and potatoes are back on the schedule as well. If you like potatoes, you don't have to boil them 2 times anymore. You can have a baked potato, you can have French fries again. You can have orange juice. If you liked orange juice before, if you're on dialysis, you know you're not supposed to have it, but now you can. I actually have been told that I'm supposed to eat dark chocolate and have more Coca-Colas because of magnesium levels, and so that is perfectly fine. I don't mind that a bit, actually. And I will tell you that if you are on dialysis right now, and if you're not thinking about getting a transplant, you really ought to, because this will give you your life back.
When they first told me about I was going on dialysis, the first thing came to my mind, golly, I'm getting ready to die. That's the first thing hit you. Then, after you go in, they try to put these little tubes in your arm to where they'll stick, and mine didn't grow in my wrist, so they put it up in my upper arm. But the nurses, what kept me going, they used to talk trash to me. Oh, Isaac, come on. You always acting like an old worm. Come on back in. So I had people that encouraged me to keep on trying. But when they stick that needle in you, you lay back and you're just looking at TV and you say, boy, wouldn't it be nice if somebody would donate me a kidney. I did 3.5 years on the machine. I came down, they examined me, they say, you might be all right. They didn't say I was great for a candidate. They said, you might be all right. So I used to go in the machine. I said, my number come yet? She said, no, not today. Every day. And then they put a pager on me. I had a little pager, and I used to look at it all the time. When is this thing gonna ring and tell me to come? And one night I went home and I said, man, bunk it. If it rang, it'd be okay if it don't. And just as I was getting ready to take it off, they called. They asked me, how long did it take you before you can get to Charleston? I called my brother and he said, he on his way? I say, we'll be down there within 2 hours. And I came on down. When I woke up, they had a soda and a Mr. Goodbar and a pack of M&Ms. I said, gracious. I said, you know I can't eat that. Say, no, the doctor wants you to try it. I said, no, the only thing I need to do is get up out the bed. He said, no, you can't get up right now. And then a little lady walked in, she gave me some medicine. I said, yeah, if I follow that nurse up there, would y'all let me go home? He said, I'll think about it. You go ahead and try. I was sweating. I walked up the hall behind her, and I came back. It was so It was hard to do, but I made myself get up out that bed and walk behind her, and I came back, and from then on, it been all go. No more laying down. Everything's get up. A kidney will give you a lot of energy. It will make you do things that you ain't never thought you can do. Don't lose y'all, because without that kidney, boy, it is the devil. I can't walk real fast now at the age of 64, but I can put on some goat power though. You never want to sit down, you always want to do something. Seem like the days get short. You be wanting to do things all the time. I had the kidney and the pancreas. I couldn't eat sweets because it'll make my sugar level go up high. But when he did the double transplant on me, they told me I had to eat more sweets. I said, huh? He said, yeah, change around. You can eat now. I said, gracious, you mean a German chocolate cake? He said, any kind you want. So I started eating cake. Then the next thing, I said, dog, before I used to get cold, I used to be tired, but now it seems like every time night come, I'm ready to go. When daytime come, I wakes up in the morning looking for the sun, waiting on daylight. I cut grass, I ride horses, I do everything. It's just go, go, go. Then they asked me, they said, "One, do you drink alcohol?" I said, no, with this kind of feeling, you don't want no alcohol. Only thing you want to do is just wait till the sun rise and get out. But it's go, go, go. I drag race, I ride horses, I go to horse race, I go to everything. I even went to a ballet dance, and I said, man, I'm outrageous now. I mean, I was doing things I never did before. But the only thing bad about it, you can't miss that medicine. You got to take your medicine. If you put it in your pocket, nobody will never know it. Just take it and keep going. But it's great to have a transplant. It's real good. And whoever trying to get one, get it. Don't worry about the scar. And I don't know about a woman, but I know me as a man, it's real good. And I know the women ought to feel the same way, because if it worked for me, it'll work for anybody. 27 years of it.